it's Michelle with the Scattered Scrapper, and welcome to my channel. Today is day 12 of Scrap-O-WEEN, and it is Tuesday, Trick or Treat Tuesday. And I'm going to be trying a new mixed media technique that I saw Vicki Boutin do on one of her Friday night lives. And she used her art crayons and some stencils. I found these at Tuesday morning, and I have never used them, so I'm excited to try something new. So I have my stencils picked out and my pictures of my girls last year at the spirit store. So let's get started. My number one takeaway from doing this technique is you need the right kind of paper. The paper that I have right here is just regular white cardstock, and it's gonna buckle and it's not going to take the color as well, but I think that even in the end it's okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm using a piece of acetate, and I just scribbled some color onto the acetate and then took my spray bottle and sprayed water on it to activate it. And I'm going to use my brush to mix it all up. And because these are older products and I've had them for a long time and I haven't used them, it takes a little while for the color to blend with the water. So, and you'll see when I've got it on the right over that white little pad there that it looks kind of like gritty, but all of that, if you just work with it, it finally dissolves in. Now here you can see I'm trying to use the kiss technique where you just lightly touch it to the paper, but you can see where the paper, it's not gessoed, it's not really thick, and it just soaks up that water and that color super fast. So it's not the greatest for this kind of technique, but in a pinch it does the job. So, and while I was watching Vicki's tutorial video, I think she used her foundations paper, but she said that she had not gessoed it or anything. It was just the way that the paper comes. And of course it's already prepared for mixed media, and I need to get me some of that paper. That or use watercolor paper or something that is made for mixed media. So here I'm just going to make some big drops of the leftover color that's on my acetate there, and you can see the paper almost becomes like parchment, where you can kind of see through it, where the water is just soaked up in it. And what I have done is, in between layers, I have taken my heat gun and dried the paper, not totally, but for the most part, to kind of help. And that's probably also why it bended a lot. Now here I have a stencil, and I'm just taking the crayon and coloring over the top. And I'm going to go around the whole thing, and there it is. And then I'm going to wet it and use my finger to kind of mix it up. Like I say, they're not, I say they're old, but they're just kind of dry. So it takes a little bit for it to soak up the water. So I use my finger to help mix it up, and I'm going to flip it over and use it like a stamp. So I'm going to pick it up and set it down, and then I start to blot it with the paper towel, but then I quickly notice that I'm transferring the color and making it more like a stencil instead of a stamp. So I get just a sheet of paper towel and lay on top of it. And then in Vicki's tutorial, she takes a different color and she uses her stencil as a stencil. So she's left it on like the stamp, but then she stencils another color through it. And I thought that was just a really cool technique. So here I'm mixing up some of this darker yellow, and I don't have a stencil brush. I need to get a stencil brush, but I have this little blending tool or something or other, so I use it, and it does great until, again, I'm picking up color from that orange color, so I'm getting orange mixed in with the yellow. But that's the whole thing with mixed media, right? It just kind of mixes all together. So I've got some more color, and I picked that up to kind of get some more yellow instead of the yellow with the orange. And then I'm going to pick it up, and look how cool that is. Now, with this one, it's a little more crisp. But see, this color that was left over from when I kind of smoothed it around, I like the way this turns out way better. So I mix this up really well, and you can kind of see those little clumps of the crayon there, and they just need a little time to get saturated and blended into the water. And then I just use this again as a stamp, but well, you'll see when it comes up. I do the same thing. I put the paper towel on top, and I'm going to put some yellow. Got to switch out my acetate here and mix some more yellow, and get my little blendy tool to pounce through the stencil. And I will say that it was a lot of fun just trying something new. And I learned a lot about my tools that I have and the products that I have. So I'm excited to try this technique again. Also with, now see how that one is not as grainy looking. It's nice and smooth. I like that better. I like the look of that better. So, now I forgot what I was saying. I'm looking forward to trying it again. And, oh yes, I was going to say, the mister that I'm using, that spray bottle, yeah, I don't like it. In fact, I went to the store today and got the Tim Holtz mister. I completely see why people buy that. It's a much finer water droplet that comes out. It's actually mist and not the big water droplets like this has. And I do think that makes a difference. Oh, see, now there you can really see the little chunks, but it mixes in just fine as soon as it gets saturated. And I started out with that gray, and I liked it, but I just thought, oh gosh, this is so light. So I thought I was picking up a darker gray, but it was actually a blue. But that's okay. It's going to work out. So here I'm just doing some little splatters, and then I'm going to put more water on, and I'm going to do some more drops, the big splats that actually ends up being a big run. But again, it's mixed media, so it's great. You can just work with it. See, I meant to do that. And you can mean to do it too. So here I'm just kind of splotching it around to make it look intentional. And I'm going to make some smaller splatters around. And always clean your brush. And again, between layers, I am drying with my heat gun. So you can kind of see here that they're not as shiny anymore. Now here I was looking for red. I wanted red. That ended up being more of a purple color. Magenta maybe, and then this is a red, but it's kind of more of a brownish red. So I'm thinking, well, let's just mix them together. And it just looks kind of like a muddy purpley red. So I just put on more of this darker red and add a little more water and mix it all together, because I'm fixing to do the same technique I did the second time with my, it's actually, I think, supposed to be a map, like a city map stencil. So I'm getting this ready to make, or to use a different stencil, but with the same technique, because I really, really like how that turned out. So here it is. It's just a swirly swirls, scripty font looking, and I'm just touching it to the color, and I'm going to stamp just the same. Get my paper towel here, and it's definitely better to do it this way with this kind of paper. Oh, see how cool that looks? That it helps the other two stamps not be quite so linear. I don't mind linear sometimes, but we need something to soften this up a little bit. So I put that on, and like I was saying before, with this paper, using the paper towel on top and pressing down on it is definitely better, because my paper is it is kind of warped right now, and I don't mind. It's fine. When it's going to go into my album, and the weight of the other pages are going to help to flatten it out. So no big deal. I'll just know for next time, get some foundations paper or some Tim Holtz paper or some paper that's for mixed media. And here again, I'm going to try the drip, and I end up with a pour. This one dripped a little bit better this time though. And usually you don't want your paper looking like a murder scene, but in this case, with it being Halloween, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But here I'm going to sop up some of the water, and you can see I really like the play of this purpley red with that gray blue. I think that just really turned out really well. So I set that aside. I'm going to clean up a little bit here. And now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use one more stencil and this black. And I'm going to add a little bit of finishing touch to my background. So I get my black ready, and I'm not going to do the kiss thing again. I'm actually going to use the stencil as a stencil. And I really like how this turns out. At first, I was thinking it was going to be really, really dark, but I should know better, because nothing on this page is really, really dark, since it just soaks up the water so much. But here I'm going to use this Simple Stories stencil of flying bats. And so again, I'm just going to use this little sponge dauber thing. And also, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be very crisp and look, like I had stenciled it. But because what I'm using is quite watery, and the sponge was already kind of wet from previous use, there ends up being some bleed through. There you can kind of see the shapes are there. You know what it's supposed to be, but they're not 100% crisp and distinct. And really and truly, I'm glad that it turned out that way and not how I was thinking that it was going to, because number one, I think it just works better for how the mixed media turns out. And also, it helps give depth when I actually start decorating the page with my pictures and stickers and things. So, and we'll see that when we get to it. But here I'm going to put some more bats. So they're coming up from the bottom and flying out. I guess they're coming out of their cave for the night. They've taken off in flight. I actually love bats. I love going, seeing them when I'm outside at dusk, and they're out there eating the bugs, and I'm like, you go bats, eat all the mosquitoes. Okay, now I'm finished with my background, so I'm going to start putting everything together. And I go ahead and back my pictures with just some white cardstock. And then I'm going to use this scrap paper from, let's see, what is that? Cartabella's. Oh goodness, it's my favorite. It's my favorite one from last year from Cartabella. What is the name of it? Oh, I don't even remember anything anymore. It's called Halloween Market. How could I forget that? Oh, they have many, many market collections. And this one is the Halloween one. And these are from the 6x6 paper pad. So they are perfect for backing your pictures. So this one I'm just using the black and white stripe. And I put it up in the top corner there even and covered up the hole that's punched out in the top for it to hang for display, because there's distressing at the top of that, and I really liked how that looked. And here I am going through the die cuts because I think I need something kind of underneath my pictures. So I'm thinking banners. I'm going to put banners up underneath the pictures. So I'm going through the die cuts and I get out all the banners and I go to kind of figure out how I want them, and I'm like, wait, these are too small. They're way too small for what I'm thinking of. So we're going to go a totally different route. I love this jack-o'-lantern paper. It is so cute. I could probably have 50 pages of just this. I just love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how wide my picture is now with all the mats and everything. And based on that, I'm going to cut a strip of this jack-o'-lantern paper. And I'm going to use it for my banner that I wanted. So it's about, let's see, 3 inches, I think. And then I'm just going to cut that in half, so I'll have 2, because I have 2 pictures. And now what I'm going to do is, oh, see, oh, that's so cute. I love that. It's so pretty. I love how the pictures just pop off that. So I'm going to turn this into a banner, but instead of having like a fishtail banner, it's going to look more like a tie point. So instead of going from the folded or from the outside edge in, I went from the folded edge out. And that gives you more of like a pointed banner instead of the fishtail banner. I'm thinking that's probably very appropriate since they have top hats on. These look more like ties. That's my story anyway. I was going for that, making them look like ties. Okay, and here's is my title. And at first I'm thinking I'm going to put it up here. And I want to use this card because this card says Jack-o'-lantern Spooky Sundries. So it goes with being at the store. So I'm like, when else am I going to use this little cart? When we're at the store, especially a Halloween store. But I can't figure out, like, I don't normally do pictures far apart or in opposite corners and stuff, so I'm struggling with how do I join this together. So I have these coffins that are left over from when I was doing a page in my October daily. So I think, oh, I can use that as a base for my title. But in order to do that, I can't have the title at the top, which is what I was thinking. So then I'm like, well, I can put it here at the bottom. And that's where things come together for the title here. And it just says, top hats are cool. Bonus points if you know what that's a riff off of. Top hats are cool. And so now I can put the market cart at the top. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. If I stick it up here like this, I'm going to have weird gaps or trapped space, or I'm going to cover up my coffin so you can't really tell what it is. So now what I'm doing is looking for something that I can actually use as a base for this card because I don't like it just sitting there because it just looks like it's floating. So I pull out this other die cut pack, and actually I've had these all mixed together, so it's not really the separated ephemera. I just put them in the two separate bags to keep it from being so bulky. So I find this little frame type thing, and I'm like, oh, my card is just big enough that I can cover up what it says, and that helps to make the card not look like it's just floating there in the middle of my background. But now I have this really awkward looking space in between the little jack-o'-lanterns and my coffins. So I'm thinking, well, there's jack-o'-lanterns there already, so I'll just put more. You can never have too many. So I just pop it up on a little bit of foam, and then I'm going to glue it down there. But then I'm like, oh yeah, I better glue this down first. So I get that tucked in. And then I'm going to glue down my other little jack-o'-lantern. And for some reason this year, I'm all about jack-o'-lanterns. I want pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. I don't have that right now, but at some point I'm going to have jack-o'-lanterns all over the place. Oh, and this little white one, it's so cute. We went to a pumpkin patch one year, and they called them ghost jack-o'-lanterns because they had these little white pumpkins out in the pumpkin patch. And that was so cute. So here I was just trying to find another pumpkin to fit behind that one there. And the one I had picked out was too wide, so I found another one that was a little bit smaller. And I love my little cluster of jack-o'-lanterns. They are adorable. And now I'm going to use a lot of the bats that are on the sticker sheet. And one thing about this sticker sheet is they're nice and thick because it is Cartabella. But I've noticed that when you try to take them off the sheet, they separate. So the picture separates from the sticker part. So I could just peel that up and it not have the sticker part, and it would be thinner. That was a little aggravating because I kept having to change it around on how to pull it up, and then it's kind of peeled. But nothing a little glue can't fix. So here I have these bats. Now see how the lighter black bats help to give depth and dimension next to these really dark black bats. And I really like that. And then here I'm just putting some little rhinestones, some black rhinestones. And I'm going to do a little bit of journaling right up under the coffins. And I think I'm just going to jump right to that and bring it up to you for you to see. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you like to give the mixed media a try, that would be exciting too. And I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye bye.